You are standing in a doorway, but you cannot enter. It is March 21st, 1947. A cold, grey morning in Harlem, New York. The air around you is vibrating with the sound of 1,000 voices. A crowd has gathered on the street. Neighbors, reporters, police officers. They are all looking at the same thing. A 3-story brownstone at the corner of 5th Avenue and 129th Street. But your focus is not on the crowd, it's the smell. Before your eyes can adjust to the gloom beyond the broken front door, the odor hits you. It is a physical weight, thick, sweet, putrid. It is the smell of rotting paper, damp wood, and something else. Something organic that has been decaying for a long time. You try to step forward, but the way is blocked. There is no hallway, there is no floor. There is only a solid wall of debris. Bundles of yellowed newspapers, crushed boxes, fractured furniture, and rusted metal wires tangled like vines. It reaches from the floor to the ceiling. It looks less like a home and more like the inside of a terrified mind. Someone behind you shouts for a crowbar. But you know, looking at this impenetrable fortress of junk, that iron and muscle won't be enough. This house doesn't want to be opened. And somewhere inside, deep in the dark, 2 men are waiting for you. To understand how a mansion becomes a tomb, you have to peel back the layers. You have to strip away the rot and the rust and go back to a time when the windows were clean and the future was bright. It is 1909. You are looking at the Collyer family. They are the picture of the American dream in the Gilded Age. They are eccentric, perhaps, but undeniably brilliant. The father, Dr. Herman Collyer, is a renowned gynecologist. The mother, Susie, is an opera singer, a woman of culture and voice. And then there are the sons, Homer and Langley. They are not outcasts. They are not monsters. They are young men with the world at their feet. Homer, the older brother, is an engineer. He plays the piano with a delicate touch. He reads Latin. He enters Columbia University and emerges as a lawyer, specializing in admiralty law. He's sharp, articulate, and poised. Langley, the younger, is a concert pianist, a mechanical genius who tinkers with inventions. He has a mind that sees how things fit together. They live in a beautiful brownstone in a prestigious neighborhood. In the mornings, Dr. Collyer doesn't take a carriage to work. In a display of whimsical eccentricity, he paddles a canoe down the East River to the hospital on Blackwell's Island. The neighbors wave. It is a charming quirk of a wealthy family. The house is filled with music, books, and fine china. It is a sanctuary of intellect, but looking closer, you might see the cracks in the foundation. The bond between the 2 brothers is tight, unusually tight. They are a closed circuit. They speak a language of shared glances and private jokes. They rely on each other completely. And as the 1910s turn into the 1920s, the world around them begins to shift. Dr. Collyer leaves the family. He died a few years later. Susie, the opera singer, passes away in 1929. The doors of the brownstone close. Homer and Langley are now alone in the cavernous house. They are wealthy men, educated men. They have every opportunity to step out into the roaring energy of New York City. But instead, they turn the lock. They look at the world outside, a world of noise and change, and people they do not understand. And they decide that they have everything they need right here. Just the 2 of them. The descent does not happen all at once. It is slow. It is quiet. It is the accumulation of dust, day after day, year after year. In 1933, tragedy strikes. Homer, the lawyer, suffers a hemorrhage in his eyes. The light begins to fade for him, slowly, steadily. He goes blind. Langley, the younger brother, makes a promise. He will care for Homer. He will be his eyes. He will protect him. But Langley's mind is beginning to fracture. He believes that if he feeds Homer a diet of 100 oranges a week, his sight will return. He believes that the doctors are frauds. He believes the neighbors are enemies. The Great Depression is ravaging New York. The neighborhood of Harlem is changing. The wealthy white families are moving out, and the area is becoming a dense, vibrant, struggling community. To Langley, this is a siege. He becomes convinced that people are trying to break in, that they want the brothers' money, that they want to hurt Homer. So the fortification begins. First, the utilities are cut off. The phone goes dead, then the water, then the electricity. Imagine living in a 3-story mansion in the middle of a New York winter with no heat. You wrap yourself in layers of old clothes. You burn furniture in a small stove. You stop bathing. Langley stops throwing things away. Everything has value. Everything might be useful. He drags things in from the street. A Model T Ford chassis, 14 pianos, baby carriages, bowling balls, thousands upon thousands of newspapers. Why the newspapers? Langley tells a neighbor, one of the few people he speaks to, that he is saving them for Homer. When Homer gets his sight back, Langley says, he will want to catch up on the news. It is a heartbreaking act of love, twisted by madness. As the house fills up, the space shrinks. The grand hallways become narrow paths. The dining room becomes a storage locker. To navigate the house, Langley carves out tunnels through the trash. Literal tunnels, burrowed through stacks of wet cardboard and rusted metal. He knows the routes by heart. He crawls on his stomach, dragging supplies to his blind brother, who sits paralyzed by rheumatism in a clearing amidst the junk. But a fortress needs defenses. Langley begins to build traps. He uses his mechanical genius. He rigs tripwires made of baling wire. He balances heavy bundles of newspapers, hundreds of pounds of books, precariously above the tunnels. If an intruder steps on the wrong floorboard, if they brush against the wrong wire, the ceiling comes down. The house is now a machine designed to kill. For years they exist like this. Ghosts in their own home. Rumors swirl in the neighborhood. Kids throw rocks at the windows. People say the brothers have millions of dollars hidden in the walls. They call it the ghost house. Sometimes, late at night, a neighbor might see a pale figure slipping out to fetch water from a public park spigot. A shadow moving in the moonlight. And then, in March 1947, the movement stops. An anonymous tip calls the police. There is a dead body in the house. We are back at the front door now. The police break the window on the second floor because the front door is blocked. It takes them hours to clear a path just a few feet inside. The police officer, climbing over a wall of debris, shines his flashlight into the gloom. He finds Homer first. Homer is sitting in an alcove surrounded by boxes. His head is on his knees. He has been dead for hours, perhaps a day. The autopsy will later show he died of starvation and heart failure. He was blind and paralyzed, waiting for food that never came. But where is Langley? The police launch a massive manhunt. They search the city. They search neighboring states. They suspect Langley has fled the madness, leaving his brother to die. They empty the house. It is an excavation. They remove 140 tons of junk. 140 tons. The crowds watch for days as the items come out. A horse-drawn carriage, human organs in jars, 6 flags of the United States. 18 days pass, 18 days of digging, and then they find him. He was not in another state. He was not on the run. They find Langley just 10 feet away from where Homer sat. He is buried under a mountain of newspapers and a heavy suitcase. He was bringing food to his brother. He was crawling through one of his own tunnels, and his foot caught a tripwire. The trap he built to keep the world out collapsed on top of him. He was crushed instantly by his own fear. Homer, blind and unable to move, likely heard the crash. He likely called out for Langley, and in the silence that followed, he slowly starved to death, alone in the dark. The silence that followed the removal of the bodies was absolute. The house was condemned. It was deemed a hazard to public health and safety. There was no saving the structure. The rot had eaten into the beams. The floorboards were soaked through with decades of neglect. So they tore it down. The bricks were hauled away. The 140 tons of history and madness were incinerated or sent to landfills. The site where the brothers lived, where they played piano and read Latin, and where they eventually died in a prison of their own making, was paved over. Today, if you go to the corner of 5th Avenue and 129th Street, you will not find a mansion. You will find a small pocket park. It is quiet there. There are benches, a few trees. Children play in the grass. It is called Collyer Brothers Park. It is a strange memorial, a patch of green light in the city, standing on the footprint of such profound darkness. The story of the Collyer brothers is often told as a horror story, a freak show, but at its heart, it is a tragedy of isolation. It asks us a question. When we lock the doors, when we build our walls to keep the world out, do we ever stop to think about what we are locking ourselves in with? The brothers built a world for two, so tight, so secure, that in the end, it wouldn't even let them survive it.